Going to spend a couple of minutes with Natalie Dominguez from Home Title Lock. She's a title theft education specialist. I didn't even know about this when I was first told that there was something called title theft. I don't even know what that is. And then I was told about it, and boy, this is a jam you never want to be in. How you doing, Natalie?
Hi, Anthony. I'm doing really good. How are you?
Good, good. My title is still in my name, and I still own my house, so I guess that's a good thing. But it could happen. This is something that can actually happen to you. You can have your house taken from you, and you'll never know it. That's the scariest part, right, Natalie?
Yeah, I think a lot of people will see news stories that are, title theft situations on, especially like local news. Not a lot of it gets national attention unless it's, the Graceland story that came out. But even for the people that saw Graceland, they don't even realize they're looking at something that's title fraud or title theft because it's not really talked about as much as I think it personally should be.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, you feel pretty secure in the fact that you own your house, unless somebody, you hear about squatters, but that's a completely different thing. That's someone physically going into your house and taking it. This is a way that people can take your very title to your house and then get all kinds of bogus credit off of it, take out mortgages on your house. And you're kind of screwed. There's not much recourse for it unless you get in touch with Home Title Lock.
Yeah. So for your audience, for anyone listening, that doesn't really know what this is. So title fraud, or title theft is essentially where scammers and thieves are taking advantage of this loophole in our legal system. They're going and filing some documents at the county, recorder level that the county can't turn away as long as they're filled out properly. And essentially what they're doing is they're taking these documents that are meant for a purpose, right? They're generally a quitclaim deed is what is used, even though there are a few different ways they can do it. They're filing this document, which generally is used to, transfer ownership between family members or, when there isn't money being changed in hands. It's essentially transferring your ownership. They're filing these documents. No one at the county office is required by law to authenticate notary stamps or, make sure some of them will require ID, but that's very, very easy to fake. And once this is filed, essentially what happens is your ownership is in the scammer's hands, and then they can go out and take loans against the property or even sell your home behind your back in a lot of cases that we've seen. And it's very easy to commit and very, very hard to unwind. So that's the difference. Yeah, people aren't, breaking in and stealing your stuff, but they're taking your ownership on paper.
Well, that's a nightmare scenario right there.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So what does Home Title Lock do that can protect you from, something like this happening?
Yeah. So sadly and unfortunately, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise, the crime can't be prevented, the actual crime of the fraud, the paperwork being filed at the county. No company that claims to be able to do that is telling the truth because unfortunately what would keep that from happening are changes to the law itself, right? Our legal system is very outdated. The, Freedom of Information Act created this process back in 1967. So everything's very outdated, but what we do as a company is we are not only monitoring and alerts, this is what we call our $1 million triple lock protection. We are 24/7 monitoring of your property, urgent alerts so that you can jump in and take care of this before it gets to the point where the criminals can use your ownership to take out those loans to, there's a gentleman that we worked with, Matt Cox, who was a criminal and did this. He went to prison for 12 years. He works very closely with our company as kind of like a public advocate. He has a true crime podcast now, and he's reformed. But he likes to talk to people about the reality of this. It's very sad, very scary. What he would do is he would transfer ownership, and then he would go and take out multiple hard money loans in a day, and all of a sudden disappears because he did this under a fake name, and then the homeowners can't unwind it. So What we do that's different is we're monitoring, but we're most importantly restoration. So we'll spend up to $1 million to jump in and fix the fraud, whether that's just getting the home back in your name, which a lot of people don't realize takes a long time. It's a lot of legal process. You can't just walk into accounting and say, hey, this is fraud, tear it up. Nope. Once it's on record, you have to get it seen before a judge. And
I
for
would just go and do exactly what they did to someone else's house.
You'd think, but the thing is, what it is that's horrible.
Yes,
We're
it is.
we we're it's joke. We're all joking, right? But
Of course.
no, but this is very serious, and unfortunately, you can't just go in and get it taken off because at the point where someone else's ownership is on record, your title is now clouded, right? This can cause
Hmm.
problems for mortgages being taken out, anything that you have still remaining on the property, trying to sell your property. So you have to actually get it taken off the record, and that is a whole legal process that has to take place.
Yeah, and that's going to take a lot of time, a lot of money, and yeah, you're kind of tainted after that.
Yep.
So what does Home Title Lock do to prevent that from happening? Will they let you know if someone's trying to take your title from you?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me dig in a little bit more into the triple lock protection. So 24/7 monitoring. We as a company have proprietary access to the largest database of title records in the US. It's awesome because we scan multiple data sources. And then second, with our urgent alerts, we notify you of any change. So this doesn't mean, you know, oh, we think this is suspicious, so we're going to notify you of this. It's anything. So even if you're going and you're taking out a mortgage or you're doing something with your property records,
Mm,
we're going to notify you no matter what, so nothing slips through the cracks. And one thing that I think is really important to touch on too for your audience is that we don't monitor the person, we monitor the property. So I've seen people, social media, everyone likes to think that they're the expert on things without actually knowing anything
oh
about it.
yeah.
Um, we're not like credit monitoring. We're not monitoring your social security number. We're not monitoring anything like that. I've seen people say, oh, well, I have, credit monitoring, identity theft protection. If someone takes out a loan in my name, like I'm covered. The thing is, when they're transferring your ownership, this isn't in your name anymore. They're transferring it out of your name. What they're doing is they're utilizing the property for collateral. So we monitor the property, not the person. So anything that comes in, we'll have to do with that. And then with our restoration, again, $1 million triple lock protection, we have a team of legal experts that we have built across the entire US to make sure that whatever state one of our victims is in, we are ready to jump in and fix this because the sooner that you fix something, the less likely a criminal is going to be able to utilize that documentation, that paperwork, and go take out all these things. But
Mm.
let's say as a hypothetical, let's say, because this actually did happen. I can't get into too much detail for legal reasons, but this happened with one of our victims. It was a guy and his elderly father, excuse me. His father had home title lock on some vacant property in Florida. But because the guy was, a lot older, he wasn't really paying attention to his
Yeah.
notifications.
Oh boy.
Found out a little bit too late. Money had been transferred. Someone posted the property on, the place where you go to look at all the houses and the property. I can't say the name, but
Oh
it's there.
man. Yep. Yep.
And he posted it for sale, sold it cash to someone. Money had exchanged hands. The moment that the son started getting, calls about this property being posted online, they were looking into it, found out they had home title lock. We jumped in and luckily got everything taken care of. And not luckily as in we can't do it, but luckily as in we caught it before it went, so far to the point where they're getting bulldozers in the property, clearing stuff out and trying to
Oh
build a
my
new house,
God.
right? But that's what we do and why we do what we do. About 10% of the counties in the US do have their own monitoring software. But you're going to have the same problem as if you didn't have something in the first place. Because if you're a victim and you go in, they're going to say, hey, get a lawyer and go get it seen before a
Mm,
judge, and they're not going to help you with anything. So the home
yep.
title lock difference is us being there for the homeowner.
Yeah, especially in this day and age where you have so much of your property's digital information available for
Mhm.
people out there.
Yep.
I would assume years ago it must have been a lot harder to get that. Now it's right there at your fingertips, and there are some bad people that want to do
Yeah.
some bad things. So, good thing Home Title Lock is out there to protect the people and their titles. Where do people go? How can people get this protection that seems
Mhm.
essential if you're a homeowner.
Absolutely. So, HomeTitleLock.com, they can actually use the promo code Anthony. And you guys, we've worked with you guys. We have a great offer for everyone. You get a free trial of our $1 million triple lock protection. But most importantly, you're going to get a free title history report. We're going to do a proprietary base scan, where it's going to take a couple days. It's going to look at all of our data sources. It's going to look at all the history, and you're going to get a copy of that report so you can make sure that you're not already a victim. The hardest thing about this crime is that for most people, it goes unnoticed for so long because they're not monitoring. You're not walking into a county office once a week and going, "Hey, let me see my records," you know?
Yeah.
So the biggest thing with this offer for your audience is that they can find out today whether or not they already have something, potentially filed against their property. And a lot of people think this isn't happening, but I see I mean, I've met with you before, Anthony, and we discussed some of the
Hmm.
things that were happening in the news, and we get articles and news reports every single week of this happening. Recently, San Antonio, there was an elderly man that got kicked out of his house because someone transferred the property. They tricked him into signing over his deed to his home, filed this erroneous paperwork, and he got kicked out of the house. And
Jeez.
is, I believe, at this point still living in his car with his pet parrot, 89-year-old man in
Oh
San
my
Antonio. It's
God.
devastating.
Just a
Yeah.
nightmare.
And we
Yeah,
get stories like this every week.
you definitely don't want to have this happen to you. I can assure
No.
you. Natalie, thanks so much for popping in, letting
Yeah,
people know about Home Title Lock.
absolutely.
We
Our
appreciate
goal
it.
is to make sure that people are educated and
Yep.
know that this is a very real threat and a very real thing that can happen, especially if you're an older person in an older home with a
Hmm.
lot of equity sitting there. Prime targets.
Oh
And
boy.
we want
Yep.
you guys to be safe.